What it do, surprise Shawty crew, and hey my Daisy loves. I miss y'all. I had originally planned on just recording what I had wrote down this morning, all for YouTube in this way, but the first one I ended up doing as a reel and a short and stuff. So this one's gonna be pretty short, and then I have a song. I recognize I have not been, uploading as often as I usually do. And that's okay, right? Y'all remember in the video when I had said I really wanted to focus on my mental health? That's what I've been doing. And that's really what I want to talk to y'all about today. The song is a song that God gave me prior to my decision, prior to starting therapy. And I was just playing it over and over. And honestly, deciding to go back to therapy, because this is my third time in therapy now, it hasn't been fun. And I feel like I was talking to y'all about it the last video I made. I was outside a tropical smoothie. It hasn't been fun, but it's definitely been worth it. Like, it was a necessary investment into myself and my health in this season of my life. Like, literally my physical health too, because the emotional turmoil I was feeling was affecting my body physically. And so what I want to talk to you about really quick, that's separate of the song, is healing and humility. And we know there's deliverance and all of that. But when I say healing, I mean taking the time to be nourished, to be comforted, to be, like accepting and also like gracious of yourself. Like, it's weird. I would say like my first month of therapy, first 2 months, it's been heavy on like the grace. And we've already said so many different things, but it was like, how can I love somebody in a way that, I'm not loving myself, no matter who it is? Like, if I'm not showing grace to myself, how am I going to show grace to other people? If I'm not real with myself, how am I going to be real with other people? And I think that's one of my favorite things about therapy, because she be giving me some be for real moments. Like, and so it makes me way more self-aware. And that's to have that content earlier for Capture Your Thoughts, because I was thinking about what therapy has been like for me. And so because of the awareness, it has made it to where it's easier for me to be like, hold on, wait, like in my thoughts, in my behavior or my patterns, right? Now, granted, when I made that last video, therapy had me so triggered that I was going backwards. And I was like, yeah, and I almost quit. And I decided like I'm going to still go. But that was how I responded to therapy in the beginning. Like, I'm going to just go backwards horribly, right? And so I'm not going to say it's like the prettiest experience, because that is not. But I'm so glad I made the decision to go. And so if you've been thinking about it, I really want to encourage you to go too. So that's just like some upfront realness with y'all. But the actual healing and humility part, as far as like a word, when you are intentional about healing and being humble, you hear and move differently, you receive differently, you speak differently, and you love differently. So one of the other latest videos I've done, it said speak from your healed heart. And so oftentimes, y'all, I'm releasing words prophetically outside of time, outside of a place that I've yet entered into myself. And so God is saying, speak from your healed heart. In order to speak from my healed heart, my heart has to be healed. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Like the other morning, I was even laughing because it was like, you told me all these things and I believed you, but I didn't know what all it entailed, or I didn't want to accept what all it entailed. Okay, so even that, speak from your healed heart, okay? And you love differently. You do a whole lot of stuff differently. So even with the hearing and moving, I've been releasing words on the internet for years, okay? And they have aged so beautifully, right? It was all God. It was all true. but I didn't hear it for everything that I needed to hear it for. I didn't hear it as well as I could have heard it, enough to where, like, yeah, you hear me, you don't feel me though, right? Now I feel what you were saying. At first I just heard what you were saying, but now I feel what you were saying. And so when you can hear it differently, then you move differently. And I put you receive differently. And y'all know, oftentimes I will quote Toby, like, it's hard to get your gift from God when both your hands is full. Right. The pain has to go. The bitterness has to go. The anger has to go. The resentment has to go. Holding on to the unforgiveness has to go. The pettiness, the spite, the pride, all those things, the trauma responses, okay, the toxic behavior patterns, it has to go so that you can receive everything, right? And so that's where I found myself like, no, I didn't want to, but he kind of left me with no choice. That's what we feeling like you still have a choice, but I was very uncomfortable and I knew something had to give. And something he told me prior to that was I was going back into the fire. Like, he told me. So do y'all know how weird it is when you are this, like, run away, but you hear what he's saying crystal clear? Like, I really was on some Jonah. Like, and now I'm getting in the boat and I'm messing it up for other folks because God coming to get me. You get what I'm saying? And I've already been here before. I know what happens when I'm doing that, right? That's why I told y'all he was highlighting wells. I was like, let me get my act all the way together, right? Because I don't want to be back in no well of a situation. And so, it's weird for me when I can hear him crystal clear and it's still like, but he told me I was going back in the fire. He told me, don't be scared. He was going to be in there with me. And that's what it's been like. But it hasn't been comfortable because it's fire. So that's the healing part. And so when you're healed, like, you see differently too. It's everything. You hear different, you see different. And I want to tell y'all what triggered that for me this morning. But the humility piece, let's hit that really quick. A lot of times we don't want to forgive because it can also be a pride thing, like not just a hurt thing, or we're so offended by someone and their actions, or we take it so personal because it's a pride thing. When we humble ourselves, it becomes really easy to not take things personal. When we humble ourselves and really think about what Jesus did for us, it becomes really easy. You know, like, hey, must Jesus bear the cross alone, all the world go free? There's a cross for everyone. There's a cross for me. This just might be my cross that I have to carry, right? And so it gets hard when we get real prideful, we get real revengeful, like all these things, because I was experiencing all of these things. Humility is what allows you to behave like Joseph and his brothers. Y'all remember the live, like Joseph reassures his brothers? Again, I might be released ahead of time for me, but maybe in one area ahead of time for me, because it was playing out in one area, just wasn't playing out in a different area. And Joseph had to cry. I kept saying that in the live. Remember, like he wept, like he was crying a lot in them chapters before he really forgave them. And he got to a moment where that's nothing but being healed and humbled. You may have intended it for my harm, but God intended it for my good. And you can't move from that heart posture unless you humble yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be out here acting like the world. Otherwise, you're going to be out here being disobedient. You're going to be running away, because who are we to say what we should and should not be subjected to, what we should and should not have to go through, especially if it's a consequence of your own disobedience, right? But even if it's not, and it was so you could learn a lesson. Okay, I know I ain't shared in a long time because this is going to be really, really long, but I don't be having the time to go live like I used to, or so I say. Okay, and so don't forget the humility. The reason this all came up this morning is because I had a dream, and I know old me, because I feel different. Like, I feel the growth and maturity coming in stronger. And the old me would have been way more distraught about the warfare and the stuff that the enemy was doing in the dream. And so, but I realized how the dream ended was victory, right? And there have been a number of dreams, most of them, right? Like, I usually don't wake up and it's in the middle of defeat. That's not usually what happens. But because I peeped the warfare, because I peeped the nonsense, because I saw the tactic, or I was interacting with it, when you focus so much on that part, you can't even see, like, but I won. But I got past that. I got through that. And so when I woke up this morning, at first the old me really was on, like, so you got to fight her. She got to die. She got to go, sis. And so I had to capture that thought of like defeat. No, we're not defeated. Because I also dreamt that didn't stop nothing. And so in that moment, I had to choose, like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to focus on the part where it didn't stop nothing. Like, you may have did it, but it didn't stop anything, right? And so even though I still have insight to warfare and stuff, I just don't share that with y'all no more. I still see what's going on, whether it's a, be mindful of, this is happening right now, or it played out like this is what happened. I don't care. I just want to focus on the winning part. Like, I do care as far as like lessons learned and like be discerning and all of that, but God is bigger, and that is a part of the humility too. When you can really like just reverence who he is, right? That gives him the room to move and be God. And that's how your victory comes in. That's how your victory comes forth, right? Imagine Joseph being so stuck on like, nah, because I never even should have been in here to begin with. I ain't do nothing to them to begin with. Then his heart wouldn't have been in that healed and humble place for God to exalt him. And it's not about that. Like, it comes with it. Eventually, y'all, you just get tired. You get tired. Like, there's this song. I know I be getting tired of running. But there's this song by Jade Nova called Stages. It's the first song on the Stages album. And I used to play it all the time when I first moved here. And she says she's been through all this stuff. But in part of the song, she says, keep on running. One day you gonna stop. And that's where I have found myself. Like, I cannot keep living like this. Like, I can't. Again, it's weird because I hear him crystal clear, right? Do it. He's telling you to do, but you get tired. And so that'll put you in a place where you just surrender, because I'm tired of this. And so it don't matter what he does. It don't matter if he ever exalts you, but you don't want to keep feeling like that. You don't want to hold that in your heart, right? And then humble yourself. You start to heal. You start to forgive. And then the exaltation happens automatically, even without you wanting it. Okay? So, those words I released before I stopped releasing as much, those are very, very true. All of them. The temptation, the superficial love that you can get from a counterfeit, all of that. And again, he will tell me all this stuff ahead of time, and I will still act brand new. Like, why are you doing that, sis? Because I'm running. Like, I'm running. And so don't run from the healing or humbling yourself. And he told us so many things at the beginning of the year. He didn't lie. In the don't be scared, I'll teach you to fly before you fall. He literally told me don't be scared. But I was still a little scared to heal. Like, to really be like, okay, hold on. So as somebody who's just been focusing on that the last 2-3 months, I really just want to encourage you. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to go to therapy, but don't be scared to take the stuff to God, to talk to God. Because I talk to God, and I have moments like that. I don't necessarily need therapy for that, but I need therapy to help me face the stuff that I be running from. Because in my own time, when it's just me, I will avoid the conversation entirely. I don't really have that option in therapy because she's going to bring it up. Do you get what I'm saying? So you can have healing on your own, but I want to encourage you to be intentional about therapy and like the self-awareness and all of that. And don't be scared to humble yourself, because a lot of times we don't want to forgive because it is a fear like they're going to do it again, no matter what it is, or it's going to happen again, no matter what it is. And I'm here to tell y'all, like, my life is nothing like the previous experiences. And so I've just continued to run. And it's like, for what? I told you this wasn't that. I told you I was doing something new. I told you came out of that season. I told you was in the latter rain. So you will literally be sitting in your new place and you can't enjoy it because you just won't let go of the other stuff. I'm here to encourage you today to let it go and humble yourself across the board so that the new stuff, the good stuff can come in. And I'm telling you now, it's not going to feel good. But you have to embrace the process. And know that God can still bless you in the middle of the process. Because he's been telling me that this morning too. I kept thinking like everything had to be so absolute. Like I got to go fully through like this whole process. Like, God, it's always going to be a process. No, but you got to embrace the process. I don't got to wait until you go through all this stuff to bless you. I can bless you anywhere in it. But I know for me, he's looking for intention. And like, do you really want to be healed? Do you really want to be whole? Do you really want to be healthy? Do you really understand that only Jesus, my son, is perfect? That's it. But everything I give you, everything I do for you is perfect for you, which is a really good segue into the song. Okay, so I just really want to encourage y'all and let you know it's going to be worth it, because that's what I've been doing. And it's been well worth it. Well worth it. He didn't lie about any of it, but I didn't have the capacity to hold the words, to move forward with the words. All the words were true. All of them. He doesn't lie. But you really got to create this space. And how do you do that? Humble yourself. Like, fall on your knees. Surrender. He's God. You are not. And let him heal you. And I think that makes me thankful too, because he straight up told me, like, you about to experience me as Jehovah Rapha. And I was like, and he said my heart was about to experience healing. And that's all that it's been. He don't lie. Ever. So yeah, it's been fun. Like, new life. Who this? Because it's like new heart. Who this? Like, it's a new me. And I'm still working towards, a better me. And that's like, I've been shedding, like, for real. Like, I know I've been going through seasons of it. I've been shedding, like, for real. And like I said, we be thinking like, oh, I gotta get to the end. No, like, just enter the process, child. Enter it. Okay? Like, yeah.